For decades, and yes, I mean decades, the Dragon Ball community has had an absolute obsession when it comes to one what-if battle. And this, of course, as you could have guessed by the title, is a scenario where Vegeta turned into a Super Saiyan and fought Frieza on Namek in place of Goku. Who would have won? And the majority of fans believe some recycled garbage that because of the fact that the Super Saiyan is a multiplier that just grants such immense strength that any Super Saiyan could have taken Frieza down. Because of the fact that if Goku could do it, that means Vegeta could have done it, and some even believe that Gohan could have defeated Frieza even if he turned into a Super Saiyan at that particular point. And then you also have other fans that have a more nuanced, practical way of evaluating this, saying that, well, based off of how much Goku struggled even as a Super Saiyan, chances are that Vegeta probably wouldn't have beaten Frieza in that particular case. But what is the truth in all of this? I am a seeker of truth, and I am here to tell you that the answer to this question lies somewhat in the middle, and I want to deliver the truth to you guys today. Now, I'm going to start off this video by talking about something that I really don't like. In fact, I'll even go as far as saying I hate doing this because I hate using numbers. But in the Dragon Ball community, everybody knows who they are. They are the power level police. And there are some official or semi-official sources that have given these numbers out over the course of years, even though they've never been confirmed in the actual series itself. But because of the power level police, I'm just going to start off with this first. Goku in his base is said to be around 3 million after he got the Zenkai boost from the Rejuvenation Chamber, and then when you tag on the Super Saiyan multiplier on top of that 3 million, it easily goes to 150 million, and then of course Frieza is at 120 million, and the way that that was scaled was because if Goku was only 3 million and he used the Kaioken times 20, that would put him at about 60 million, which would reference Frieza using approximately 50% of his power in suppression against Goku. But all of this is basically to say that Goku is 150 million, Frieza is 120 million. If you're using Frieza as a reference point, that means that Goku is 25% stronger than Frieza, but even though he was 25% stronger, he struggled throughout the battle. Now, what we also have to point out when we use power levels is we also have to take into account the anime versus manga differences. You see, the anime was significantly more stretched out and had a lot more filler, and as a result of it, Goku struggled far more in the anime than he did in the manga. The most notorious scene that stretched out and exaggerated the battle on Planet Namek would have been the sequence where Frieza supposedly killed Goku when he attacked him in his ball of light, and Gohan sensed that his father disappeared, so Gohan rushed over to the battle to try to avenge his slain father, and he fights against Frieza, and Gohan's plan all along was basically to just buy time for the planet to explode so that Frieza would explode on the planet, and as a result of it, Gohan could basically save the day by just buying time. And after everything happened, Goku rose back up and continued fighting Frieza. Now, what you have to understand is that this sequence was completely filler only, and this never happened in the actual manga, because in the manga what happened is that Frieza knocked Goku down, and a few battles later Goku gets right back up and they continue fighting. The gap between Goku and Frieza was significantly smaller in the anime that stretched out a lot of points, and you can even say at certain points of the battle it even looked like Frieza was getting the better of Goku. Now when we compare this to the manga, Goku definitely got his fair share of blows from Frieza, but it was pretty apparent that Goku was clearly stronger than Frieza throughout the entire battle, and the way that Goku defeated Frieza on Namek is very similar to what happened in Dragon Ball Super, where basically Goku goes Super Saiyan Blue, Frieza goes into his golden form, but Frieza wasn't able to fully control that form yet because he just rushed to battle Goku, very similar to how Goku fought Frieza on Namek, where he basically outlasted Frieza as a Super Saiyan because Frieza's power was declining, because Frieza wasn't used to fighting at 100% power, because who in the hell in the universe could even challenge Frieza at that strength anyways, let alone Frieza's base form, which was far above anybody that we knew about at that time. And by Frieza's base form, I mean Frieza's suppressed form, because Frieza's real form is actually his final form, and he uses his suppressed form to contain his energy. What we also have to take into account here is if we use power scaling numbers, semi-official sources say that Vegeta was supposed to be around 2 million, and some specific sources actually list Vegeta at 2.4 million, and that 400,000 does make a difference, because if it's 2.4 million multiplied by 50, that would mean that he would equalize Frieza. So this is basically a situation where wherever you guesstimate Vegeta was, he's either equal to or less than Frieza, but never ahead. So clearly Frieza would have the advantage if he would have fought, so it would suggest that Vegeta wouldn't have won. Now the next thing that we need to discuss here is dealing with Saiyan desire. And a Saiyan always has a desire to fight a strong opponent that could challenge them. We've seen this happen multiple times throughout Dragon Ball history. And Goku did this when he was fighting against Frieza because he was in his Super Saiyan form and he could have just killed Frieza before Frieza fully powered up. But Goku wanted to challenge himself and risk the entire universe along the way, and that's what Goku did. And because of this, Frieza had a chance. This is to give Vegeta a glimmer of hope here. If Vegeta was more logical and turned Super Saiyan at 100 million, if we estimate he's around that much, he should have been able to defeat the suppressed Frieza that didn't go 100%. And if Vegeta can kill this Frieza really fast, then he could theoretically win the battle. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier, where the truth lies somewhere in the middle, because if you're saying Vegeta is fighting a Frieza at 100% power, then Vegeta would have a disadvantage. But if Vegeta is smart and says, no, screw this, I'm just gonna kill you right away, then Vegeta very well has a realistic shot of defeating Frieza, and if he did this and killed Frieza early, then he could have been victorious. But now we have to go into the other side of Dragon Ball, where we analyze characters in the most realistic way possible. You guys know that this is what my reputation is. I analyze as realistically as I can based off of how Toriyama designed the show and how Toriyama designed the nature of the characters. And because of this, all of this would suggest that Vegeta would do something very similar, where Vegeta, especially if he turns Super Saiyan for the first time and he's glowing, because Vegeta didn't even know what a Super Saiyan was supposed to look like, so he's glowing and his ego would be out of this world, because Vegeta's ego was already out of this world when he wasn't a Super Saiyan. If you guys remember when Vegeta was fighting against Frieza before Frieza killed him, he thought he had actually become a Super Saiyan because he had gotten that major Zenkai boost, and because of all of this, he thought he could win, and his ego was out of the world, not even being a Super Saiyan. So just imagine if he actually transformed and was far stronger than that. Vegeta, in all likelihood, would have wanted to see Frieza at 100% because he would want to fight that Frieza. Because this is Vegeta, who's had a history of behaving like this. Go back to Semi-Perfect Cell. Vegeta would have allowed Frieza to get too strong, and in all likelihood, because Vegeta would have been weaker than Goku, he wouldn't have lasted long enough for Frieza's disadvantage to come into play, because you can argue that if Vegeta can outlast Frieza, similar to how Goku outlasted Frieza in his 100% form, then maybe Vegeta could win. And I think that's also another possibility. Vegeta could very well theoretically outlast Frieza as a Super Saiyan, similar to Goku, and over the course of a full battle, maybe that would have been enough, but in the initial stages, because Frieza would have been even stronger than Vegeta, Vegeta would have been fighting at a bigger disadvantage, which means he probably wouldn't have survived that long, which makes this unrealistic, and because of Vegeta's nature, he in all likelihood would have been killed in the ultimate process. The truth of the matter is that Vegeta would have stood a chance because he could have killed him earlier before Frieza fully powered up. But if Vegeta allowed Frieza to fully power up, we can say with confidence that he wouldn't have won that battle. Now, there is a side argument that some Dragon Ball fans could make using the Namek Vegeta and saying that when Vegeta was on Namek, he was rather smart and cunning and was very aware of what he was capable of and was avoiding enemies when he needed to and played it smart. And I think that that is realistic up until a certain point, but when you consider the fact that Vegeta would have been a Super Saiyan in this case and his ego would have been far out of control, even compared to the original Vegetas whose ego was out of control, even not being a Super Saiyan, I think that eliminates that side argument too in saying that Vegeta would have wanted to fight Frieza at 100%, probably even more so than Goku, because Goku had loved ones on the line that he was risking when he made his decision, but he still did it. Vegeta doesn't have that burden because he's not with Bulma yet and he doesn't care about the rest of the other characters. So why would Vegeta care about the others? He wouldn't. And because of all those reasons, Vegeta's ego would have gotten the best of him and he would have been defeated by Frieza.